Guys, we will be quickly getting started with our live session today. And yeah, water, very important. So before I start, let me quickly just round up things. I am just making sure that fine. So let me and I don't know. Yeah. So guys, very simple. Like we have started this new trend where I'm going live to make sure that I can clear your doubts in a quick succession. I just want to get a thumbs up from you guys if you're able to hear me or not. And the Zoom link, in case if you want to join the Zoom link, there is a link which is given in the description of this particular video, so you can go ahead and you can join that, join the call during the Zoom link. So the advantage you'll get with the Zoom link is quite obvious. You will get to interact with me live one-on-one if I talk about. The only thing is you have the option of either going asking questions using comments, or you have the option of getting like joining the Zoom calls. Like obviously, I would prefer Zoom call because you can interact with me live one-on-one. And let me quickly just confirm if I am audible. So how will I do that? I will listen to myself. Yeah, so I am pretty much audible, and the video quality, if I talk about uh, like the quality which I have in front of me and the quality which we are getting on YouTube, it's quite strange. Anyways, that does not matter. So it's almost 1 p.m. right now, and we will be quickly getting started with what we are discussing. And yeah, so like in case if you have any questions, obviously put them in the comments. In case if you want to join the Zoom call, okay, let me do one thing. Let me put that in the comment, pin comment. In case if you want to join the live Zoom call, I am putting a link in the chat. If I talk about, I'm not sure. And I'll just pin this message. Yeah, it is pinned. So now you, in case if you want to join the Zoom live Zoom call, if I talk about, you can join from there. So let's quickly get started, and we are going to discuss about the layoffs which are happening, then the internships which are obviously due next, probably next month, and then we are going to discuss about the future in case if you have any questions around it. And I will be constantly drinking water, so don't worry about it. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the layoffs which are happening in the around the globe. If I talk about, I'm not sure about what is happening in India, but I'm pretty much sure what is happening in US, because we are doing US, like we are assisting companies finding right talent in US. So currently, obviously, as a business, if I talk about, we are aware of what is happening in the US region, if I talk about. So is it going to impact in India? The question is, the layoffs which are happening in US, are they going to affect India? Like, will we as a country see any side effects out of it, if I talk about, or maybe something which is going to happen in India? So first of all, I want to make sure one thing. Let's try to understand what is the meaning of layoff and why it happens. So layoffs are basically for two reasons they happen. Like obviously, sometimes companies say that they have a room for performance improvement, if I talk about, and they are not able to see employees are having good performance, so they go for a layoff. Secondly, the economy, if I talk about, so like let's say if there is an economic downturn, so obviously if company does not have money, so they won't be able to hire people, or maybe they are not able to pay the employees, if I talk about. So these are the two major reasons if I talk about. This time around, it's all because of the economic downturn which is happening. So like the inflation is increasing. Again, I don't want to make this political, but yes, we understand like what is happening around the world. So there's situation with Russia and Ukraine. There is a situation, we came from COVID. A lot of things are happening. So it all happened instantaneously and simultaneously, I should say. So a lot of companies are facing issues. Facebook, if I talk about, okay, let me actually open number of layoffs happen. Let me just open that. How many layoffs that has happened currently? So as per the official record right now, I've just opened Crunchbase if I talk about, and as per Crunchbase, the official number is around 75,000 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, around 73,000. Around 73,000 is the total layoffs which has happened right now. And companies are quite big. So like we have even Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Stripe, we have Lyft, we have Booking.com, we have Loom, if I talk about. Not many companies which we, as India, we might have heard about. Spotify, we have Instacart, we have, and even Netflix, we have. We have even Microsoft. Okay, so this layoff is happening. Even Oracle is there. Okay, so these layoffs are happening. And if I talk about, so Facebook laid off around 11,000 people, and I don't know why I'm not able to find the exact figure. They have done. Yeah, so again, let's not focus on the numbers. Twitter, it's around 50%. 50% of the Twitter employees have left the company, or maybe they were laid off. Again, I don't know what's the official reason behind that, and I don't want to make this political kind of thing. So this is what is happening right now in the economy. So let's talk about what is going to happen now. So since companies are laying off a lot of employees, if I talk about ourselves as a company, we came across a lot of good candidates. If I talk about, they have a good resume, they have good projects, they have worked on great companies. If I talk about, especially if I talk about of Twitter. So we, like I personally talk about, I've met so many great guys who were laid off. So now the question comes, is it going to impact India? Well, the answer is yes, and as well as no. So first of all, we have to understand one thing. IT sector of India is quite reliant, or I would say dependent on the US or the Western market. Okay, so a lot of companies, like obviously India has its own home potential growth as well, but a lot of things are dependent on the US or Western market if I talk about. So there might be an impact coming in India's way, because obviously a lot of impact is happening in the US region or maybe UK region. So this might affect, again, I'm not saying that this will happen, but as an assumption if I'm making, so I would say this might impact, but it will not be a huge scale if I talk about, because the advantage we have in India right now is like we are not 100% dependent on the Western market. What is happening, that we have homegrown companies and we have clients not just in the US, we have the Indian clients. So a lot of companies, if I talk about especially the IT sector, we don't have any such impact coming in, but I feel that there might be some impact coming in. Recently, I came across that Zomato actually laid off 3% of their workforce. So again, I'm not quite sure about like what kind of a workforce that was, or maybe what's the reason behind that. But we do come to see like a lot of startups have already laid off a lot of people. So the question for now is, so layoffs are happening, it may impact in India. So what can I do as an individual? So first of all, one thing which I will say, irrespective of what is happening in the world, you have control over what you do. So obviously, I don't want to go into deeper detail. Like let's say if someone is laid off, or maybe someone is not laid off, someone is already working, someone is not working, whatever that is. One thing you can actually do is you can actually work on yourself. You can work on improving yourself. If I talk about personally, if I talk about myself, I'm learning new technologies every single day. I would not say I'm committing 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours a day. I'm committing at least 15 to 20 minutes to even 1 hour a day. Why I'm doing this? Because I have understood one thing, and you should also understand this thing, that people are upgrading themselves on occasionally or a daily basis. A lot of new things are coming in, a lot of new things are popping up every single day. So what we have to do, we have to actually focus on enhancing our skill set. So what will happen, your skills are going to get irrelevant irrespective of where you are right now and how much experience you have. This is the most important thing you have to understand. I started my career as a PHP developer. Yes, currently PHP is still going, but a lot of people are now focusing on JavaScript tech. I started with jQuery. Right now, a lot of people are saying we should learn React JS, we should learn Angular JS, we should learn Vue JS, whatever that is. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to constantly upgrade yourself. Because if you're not upgrading yourself, chances are that you will be affected if a piece of technology becomes irrelevant. Open source, if I talk about, especially in this IT world, open source has opened doors for everyone to create something which actually changes the face of that. I mean, changes how we communicate or how we do things around. So we have to understand one thing which is very serious, that the set of technology which we have, the kind of learning which we are having are going to get impacted. Again, I'm getting a bit distracted because of the video which I'm watching right now. I'm just making sure that there is a proper connection and proper reception you guys are receiving. So you have to constantly upgrade yourself. Secondly, if you don't have a job, obviously you should be looking for a job. You should be making some projects and you should be posting them on GitHub. That's the best thing you can do. If you already have a job, do not make a jump. If you already have a job, do not make a jump. Now comes the question of students who are right now watching and saying, okay, I am about to get an internship. I am just going to get, my education is going to finish next year. What should I do now? Obviously, you should be learning. You should be enhancing your skill. But earlier, I mentioned that I'm learning so many technologies. As a student, you should not be learning every single technology. You should be just learning or focusing on one technology. If you want to become a software developer, focus on that. If you want to become a web developer, you focus on that. If you want to focus on AI, ML, focus on that. If you want to leverage IoT, if I talk about, focus on that. If you want to focus on cloud, focus on that. Do not focus simultaneously on web, cloud, AI, ML, IoT, and different stuff, because you'll get confused throughout what is happening and you won't be able to learn a thing. This is a mistake which I made. Like in my college days, I thought of learning animation, then I thought of learning music composition, then I thought of learning web development, then I thought of becoming a software developer and whatnot. So do not get distracted like this. Do not get distracted like this. Focus on just one thing. LinkedIn profile or GitHub profile, I always emphasize, please make sure that you are focusing on that. LinkedIn profile is something where you are just creating a network, but GitHub actually shows that you are serious about what you're learning. You're serious about what you're learning. So please make sure you are focusing on them. So if I talk about in terms of getting internships, so keep on learning, apply for the new opportunities which you're getting. See, there are layoffs which are happening. I don't know how to speak this. I don't know how to say this term. Economic downturn is happening, but companies are still hiring. I know that because we actually help companies find the talent. Not this particular, not through Skill Nagar, we have a different venture there. So please try to understand one thing. Companies are still hiring people. There is a still demand for top talent. There is a still demand for people who have ample amount of knowledge or skill set. There is a still demand for freshers. So do not get disheartened. Things are happening. It may take a month or so, it may take 6 months, but you will find the right location. You will find the right place. So do not worry about that. Talking about the future, what is going to happen? So there is a trend which is going around, which a lot of people are speaking about it. Like Twitter has laid off 50% of their employees. Twitter has laid off 50% of their workforce, and now they're still surviving, they're still running. So like, what is happening? So a lot of people are saying like maybe Twitter was overstaffed. A lot of people were saying I feel that Twitter is like this or like that. Again, I don't want to go into that thing, but we have to understand one thing. Twitter is still working. In the morning itself, I was using it. So we have to understand one thing. Now companies may focus of hiring quality people compared to hiring quantity of people. So you have to understand one thing, that instead of you focusing on becoming, jack of all trades, it won't be good for you. You have to become master of one. So you have to focus on upgrading your skill set, but focusing on one single domain. So it should not be that you should focus on multiple domains. It should be that you should be focusing on just one single domain. One thing which I would recommend to a lot of students is that if you want to choose a domain, let's take an example. You want to become a cloud expert. So I would say, instead of saying that I want to become a cloud expert, you should choose an industry also. I want to become a cloud expert in an e-commerce industry. Now, why I'm saying this? E-commerce is an industry which has a lot of different way of things, like how things happen in the e-commerce industry compared to finance industry, compared to healthcare industry, compared to education industry. I'll give you an example. You can assume that education industry works throughout an year. Education industry, like people are constantly learning throughout the year. If I talk about in terms of e-commerce, so e-commerce is more like a constant which is happening during normal days, and once there is a festival season, maybe Black Friday, maybe Diwali, maybe Dashera, maybe Eid, maybe Christmas, whatever that is, there is a certain jump in the sales. If I talk about, there is jump in the traffic. If I so what will happen if you'll go for a just e-commerce industry, you can actually understand how the industry works all around. And when you have the industry knowledge, it is going to give you a leverage which nobody else will have. I'll give you an example. You have a cloud expert who has 5 years of experience working in banking, insurance, education, e-commerce, and healthcare. You have a cloud expert who has 5 years of experience working in the e-commerce industry. Who would you hire? If you are an e-commerce company, let's take an example of Flipkart, let's take an example of AWS. Who will you hire? You will obviously hire someone who has an e-commerce background. Why? Because you understand that they also understand what things happen. So see, basically, companies these days are not looking for someone who has the skill set. They are also looking for someone that who has the understanding of how my industry works, so they can add something to that. Again, I don't know how to emphasize on this, but let's say if we have a number one and you have a number one, if you're going to add it, that's going to become two. But if you have one and someone is zero, it is going to become only one. So people are not looking for someone who has zero knowledge, if I may, in the industry, but they are looking for someone who has that kind of a knowledge, which I feel happens. Reason behind that, few of our clients, if I talk about in the US, they specifically say we are looking for someone who has 5 years of experience in the banking industry. Now, it's very difficult to find someone who has 5 years of experience in the banking industry, but when you find them, your company actually grows a lot because the person has the right amount of experience. So I would emphasize to all the students right now who are watching this video, or maybe all the professionals right now, instead of focusing on multiple, how can I say this, industries, you should explore a single industry, because that is going to give you the right kind of a leverage compared to any other industry. Now you may say, Avinash, don't you feel that if I'll have an experience in multiple industries, I will actually have a better chance of uh, growing myself as a professional compared to having a single industry experience? Well, I do agree to that point. I do agree to that point that yes, having an experience in the multiple industry can actually help you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you also understand you can only grow yourself in a single domain. You can only grow yourself in a single industry. So it is better that we focus on uh, single industry, if I may, compared to multiple industries. So this is what I have for you guys, and this is what I would recommend to you guys to understand, that layoffs are happening, a lot of things are happening. But if I talk about in terms of a future, so this is what we have to understand. And I realized I'm just speaking and speaking. I am not asking you guys if you have any questions. So like, obviously, yes, if you have any questions, please let me know your questions so that I can start answering them. And meanwhile, let me actually pick some questions from the comment sections in case if you have posted them, so that I can answer those queries. Like, obviously, I try myself to actually, I try my best to answer those questions directly in the what should I say, in the comment section. I reply to that. So let me see if I have some questions which are relevant and which I should be pressing on. Okay, so Pranjal has said hiring freeze. So Pranjal, can you please explain what do you mean by hiring freeze? And in case if you want to hop into our Zoom call, I would welcome you to hop into our Zoom call. So yeah, constantly I receive a question that I'm doing certain thing right now, and can I make a career in IoT? Can I make career in cloud computing? Can I make career in ML AI? And in case if you're able to hear anything which is happening in the background, I'm not responsible for that. So forgive me for that, because that is done by my neighbors, not me. So yeah, Pranjal, in case if you are right now watching this particular video, there is a link which is given in the comment section. You can use that link. You can join the Zoom call, or you can ask the full question in the comment section. I mean, the chat section, I would say, so that I can answer those queries. Yeah, so I was answering this thing. Majority of the time students ask me, like, if I'm actually from a certain branch, can I actually make career in IoT? Can I make career in cloud computing? Guys, try to listen one thing. Try to understand one thing. You are not, I don't know how to put it. Nobody is going to stop you to actually do something. Nobody can actually stop you. I should not use the word nobody can, but nobody will. Reason behind this, it's up to you. How well you want to structure your career, how well you want to grow, it totally depends upon you. So you have to understand one thing which is very important. Nobody's going to stop you. Now the question which happens around here is, like, I see someone from computer science background, they made a great career. Someone from mechanical, they made a great career. Will I be able to make it? Yes, you are going to be able to make it. The reason behind that is, if you're going to put in the hard work, if you're going to put in the critical thinking, if you're going to put in the smart work, if you're going to actually learn on things. If you're going to walk into an interview and you will say, hey, I have done this particular thing and give me a job. This is now how things are working right now. It's not 1960, it's not 2000, early 2000. If I talk about it, is 2022 and it's almost over. It's 26. I mean, it's 26th of November 2022. So we have hardly 35 days remaining in this year. So try to understand one thing. Right now, if you have a degree, again, I should rephrase myself. Right now, if you have a piece of paper which says that you have done this, and if you go to an interviewer and say, hey, I've done this, give me a job, they're not going to give it to you. This is a reality. Reason behind that, they're looking for people who have the right skill set. They're looking for people who can actually do the thing. Again and again, I emphasize this happens in my company, and when I'm talking to students, if you know someone who has a driving skill, and if you know someone who does not have a driving skill, who would you bet your life if you have, like, if they have to drive the car? Obviously, the person who can drive the car, because you don't want to risk it. I understand, like, you may respect me, Avinash. Okay, thank you for this particular channel. You're making such great videos and we are enjoying a lot. You're helping us in the career. But if I don't know how to drive a car, you won't trust me. Why? Because you don't want to risk your life. So this is the similar case with the companies. Okay, this is the similar case with the companies. So do not think about it that just because you have a certain degree, they're going to trust you. I mean, if you have a like certain background, if I may, I should not use this word degree because I do understand the importance of degree. So please focus on this. So if you want to actually make a career, start learning towards it. Start learning towards it. And secondly, focus on internships, focus on the live projects which you can do. You won't believe there are so many companies who are looking for talented students like you who want to make career there. So do not focus on that. Do not focus on that you cannot do that. You can do it. There is nobody who's stopping you. So as a student, get rid of this thinking that if I'm pursuing a certain branch, if I'm pursuing a certain degree, I cannot make career in IoT, cloud computing, machine learning. No, you can. The only thing is you have to be willing to put in the hard work. So I hope I have made myself clear on this. In case, obviously, if you have a question, I would be more than happy to answer those queries if you have. And like, obviously, I can see, okay, fine. Let's move to the next question, which we have, like, obviously, which I get commonly. Yes. The second question is, which coaching center or which course I should join to actually complete cloud computing, IoT, and whatnot. So let's focus on this. First of all, I as an individual cannot say this. The reason behind that, we are not a recommending channel. If I We are not a recommending channel, so like we don't say that you should be doing this from there, you should be doing this from there, because obviously currently we don't want to venture into that. I personally, if I talk about, I want to make sure that this channel, if I talk about, remains free of cost. All the things which we are providing remains free of cost. We constantly talk to people, we constantly talk to companies, we are talking to companies, and we are thinking of bringing everything which is freely available for students. So this is what we are trying right now, and let's hope this becomes great. We are also in the planning of registering this particular channel as an NGO. So we want to go it fully fledged, not for profit. We want to make sure that we are doing it for the students. So in case if you need this question, or if you have a question related to how can I actually, what kind of a course should I join, or what kind of a coaching institution we should join, again, we cannot recommend that. This is totally up to you. You have to decide it by yourself. But try to understand one thing: joining a coaching institution is not sufficient. I'll be very, very brutally honest. Let me be very honest. And let me actually drink water more. So basically what happens, you join an institution. Let's say you watch videos from Skillnet. Let's talk about ourselves. You're watching our videos. What is happening? You're limited to our channel. You have to constantly upgrade yourself. So you have to look for different aspects of it. I'll give you an example. I learned through YouTube. I learned through LinkedIn Learning. I learned through various different websites. I learned from Plural Site. I learned from various websites because I want to make sure that I'm grading myself from from different directions as well. So please focus on one thing, which is very important, that you cannot stick to one just single course. Like, let's say you bought a course, X amount. You cannot stick to that. You cannot simply stick to that. If someone is saying that you should be just sticking to one course, that is not going to happen, because the learning process, the things are not just in one direction, they are having in the multiple directions. I'll give you a very simple example. Is computer science, IoT, cloud computing is the only way of making money or making career? The answer is no. You can make a career as a sales professional, you can make career as a teacher, you can make career as architect, you can make a career as an artist. If I talk about, you can make a career as a civil worker, you can also make a career as a mechanical engineer, maybe car engineer, what I don't know what we call it. You can make a career as an astronaut, you can make career as a what do we call them? Yeah, pilot. So you're not limited. But we focus on one thing, that okay, this is where we can actually excel. If I talk about myself, I thought of making so many careers, but I realized that since I'm an IT guy, I'm a computer science guy, this is the best thing that has happened to me, and this is where I should be focusing on. And this is why I'm running this channel, because I feel that I'm adding values to students' life. So I have forgotten the question. Yeah, so the question was, can I join a certain institution? Yes, you can. If you need a recommendation, unfortunately, we cannot give you right now. But what you can do, you can not rely just on one single course. Okay, Avinash, I have paid this amount of money. You are saying that I should be learning from other sources as well. You want me to put in the money there as well? The answer is no. What I'm trying to say is, you should be learning from different mediums. There are articles, there are various things which are happening. There are developer websites, there are Stack Overflow, there is a free tutorials which are available on YouTube. There are people who are uploading their knowledge on LinkedIn or maybe GitHub. So learn from every single aspect of it, learn from multiple dimensions, but just learn one thing. Do not go every single way. So that does not mean that you're joining a coaching institution to learn Java, then you're going watching YouTube videos about how to use After Effects, then you'll learn On LinkedIn, you're learning how to become a career coach. On GitHub, you're learning how to become a Python developer. And on plural side, you're learning how to become a 3D artist. That's not going to work out for you. So please do not do that. Focus just on one thing. If you want to become a software engineer, learn from YouTube, learn from GitHub, learn from LinkedIn, learn from plural side, learn from blogs, learn from Google, wherever you are, learning just one. Focus on one niche. So guys, I think we are done for this particular session, if I may. I cannot see any more questions coming up along my way right now. I have just quickly refreshed my page. And yes, I cannot see anything right now. So what I'll be doing, like obviously I'll be, what should I say? Like ending the Zoom call if I talk about. And in case if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I make sure that all the questions are answered in a simpler, or I would say faster way if I talk about through comments. I'll try my best to make sure that I'm available every Saturday. Let me see if I'm available every single day to answer your queries. I'm not sure about this right now, but let me see if I'm available. But that should not stop you from learning. That should not stop you from learning. So with this, guys, I will see you next Saturday. And if you have any questions around it, any questions related to anything tech, put them in the comment and I'll make sure they are answered. If I don't know the answer, I'll ask the person who has the answer and then I'll answer the questions. So with this, have a great weekend if I talk about, and I'll see you in the next video. And yes, guys,